For our simulation, the Part 2 prompt is, describe a person who likes to read a lot. We've got two answers to this prompt, one achieving a Band 8 and the other a Band 9.
Okay.
And as we listen, think about this. What makes the Band 9 answer stand out? Where do you see those subtle but important differences that elevate the response?
Okay, let's do it.
All right, let's hear that Band 8 answer first. This one describes a guy named Daniel. I'd like to talk about my friend Daniel. He's one of my closest friends, and I've known him since we were in high school. Daniel has always been a book lover, and I think he spends most of his free time reading. He enjoys reading different kinds of books, but he's especially interested in novels and history books. He often talks about the stories he reads and shares interesting facts about historical events. Sometimes he also reads self-help books because he says they help him improve himself. I think Daniel likes to read a lot because it's his way of relaxing and learning at the same time. He's a very curious person, and reading helps him explore new ideas and understand the world better. I admire his passion for books because it makes him very knowledgeable and interesting to talk to.
Okay, solid answer. It's clear, well-organized, answers the prompt directly.
Now let's hear the Band 9 answer about Sarah. I'd like to describe my cousin Sarah, who is an avid reader. I've known her my entire life since we grew up together, and one thing that has always stood out about her is her love for books. Sarah reads a wide variety of genres, but she particularly enjoys fantasy novels and biographies. She's fascinated by stories that transport her to imaginary worlds, but she also appreciates learning about real-life experiences through biographies. Recently, she's been diving into psychology books because she finds human behavior intriguing. I believe Sarah's love for reading stems from her natural curiosity and her desire to expand her knowledge. She once told me that reading allows her to escape reality while also gaining new perspectives on life. I find her passion for books inspiring because it has made her not only well-informed, but also highly creative in the way she thinks and communicates.
Did you catch the difference there?
I think so, but break it down for me. What makes Sarah's answer stand out?
Well, first, notice the vocabulary. It's more vivid and precise. Instead of just saying book lover, Sarah is an avid reader. And she's not just interested in fantasy, she's fascinated by stories that transport her to imaginary worlds.
That's true. The language is richer and paints a more detailed picture of Sarah as a reader.
Right, exactly. And if we look closely, Sarah's answer also uses more complex sentence structures. For example, she appreciates learning about real-life experiences through biographies. That's a relative clause that adds more detail and demonstrates a higher level of grammatical range.
You're right. So it's not just about using big words, it's about using them naturally within well-constructed sentences. And just to be clear for our listener, a relative clause is a part of a sentence that gives more information about a noun.
Yes, exactly. It's about showcasing a mastery of the language while still sounding natural and engaging.
Okay, so we've seen how those subtle differences in vocabulary and grammar can elevate a response from a Band 8 to a Band 9.
And keep in mind, this is just part 2 of the speaking exam. It gets even more interesting in part 3.
That's right. In part 3, the examiner shifts from personal descriptions to more abstract discussion questions related to the topic.
Yeah.
We're going to simulate that next using the same Band 8 and Band 9 answers to see how they tackle these more challenging questions.
Yeah, and as we go through each question, I want you to really pay attention to how the Band 9 answers go beyond simply answering the question. They offer nuanced perspectives, they support their opinions with reasons and examples, and they maintain that impressive command of language we saw in part 2.
It sounds like part 3 is where you can really demonstrate your ability to think critically and engage in a deeper discussion.
Precisely. Are you ready to dive into part 3?
Absolutely. Let's see how these band scores play out in a more conversational setting.
Okay, so let's jump into part 3, where the examiner is going to ask you a series of questions related to the topic of reading. We've got 6 questions here, and just like before, we'll hear both the Band 8 and the Band 9 answers for each.
This is where it gets really interesting, right? We're moving beyond just describing a person and into a deeper discussion.
Exactly. You'll need to show the examiner that you can handle more complex ideas and express your opinions in a clear, sophisticated way.
Okay, I'm ready for that first question.
Question 1 is, do you think people of all ages need to read?
Makes sense given the topic. Let's hear that Band 8 answer first.
Okay, here it is.
Yes, I think reading is important for everyone because it helps us learn new things and improve our thinking skills. For children, it's good for their education, and for adults, it can be a way to relax or stay updated with the world.
Good points. Definitely covers the basics. But let's see how the Band 9 answer tackles this question.
Okay, I'm curious to hear the difference.
Here's the Band 9 answer.
Absolutely. Reading is beneficial for people of all ages as it stimulates the mind and enhances knowledge. For children, it plays a crucial role in their cognitive development and language skills. For adults, it serves as both an educational tool and a source of relaxation or inspiration.
So what do you think?
Interesting. Both answers agree that reading is important for everyone, but the Band 9 response, it just seems to pack more punch somehow.
It does. Did you notice the word choices? Instead of just saying good for education, the Band 9 answer says it plays a crucial role in their cognitive development. That's much more precise and sophisticated language.
Oh, I see. And it also highlights the benefits for adults in a more specific way.
Exactly. Instead of just saying relax, it talks about finding inspiration. It's those subtle shifts in vocabulary that can really make a difference in your score.
Okay, on to question 2. What are the differences between paper books and movies?
Let's start with the Band-Aid answer.
I think the main difference is that books let you imagine everything in your own way, while movies show you exactly how things look. Also, books usually have more details than movies because movies have limited time to tell the story.
Solid points, but a bit straightforward. Let's hear the Band 9 response.
The key difference lies in how they engage us. Books allow readers to imagine characters and settings based on their own interpretation, which makes the experience more personal. On the other hand, movies provide a visual representation of the story, but often simplify or omit details due to time constraints.
What stands out to you there?
That's interesting. Both answers talk about imagination and detail, but the Band 9 one, it seems to take it a step further.
You're right. Instead of just saying books let you imagine, the Band 9 answer talks about imagining based on their own interpretation, which emphasizes that active role of the reader.
Yeah, and it also introduces the idea of engagement, how books and movies connect with us in different ways. That feels more analytical.
Exactly. It's not just listen differences, it's analyzing those differences and adding that deeper layer of meaning.
Okay, question 3. What reading topics are popular in your country? Here's the Band-Aid answer.
Okay.
In my country, people like reading novels, especially romance and mystery stories. Some people also enjoy reading newspapers or magazines to stay updated with current events.
All right, good overview. But let's see how the Band 9 response expands on this.
In my country, popular reading topics include fiction genres like romance and thrillers, as well as nonfiction subjects such as self-help, history, and politics. Many people also enjoy reading news articles or blogs online to keep up with current affairs.
Do you see the difference there?
That one definitely feels more comprehensive. It mentions a wider range of genres, and it also brings in the idea of online reading.
Right. It's important to show the examiner you have a good grasp of current trends, and the Band 9 answer does that by mentioning news articles and blogs.
Okay, question 4. Is reading for fun or for work? Let's hear the Band 8 answer.
Go ahead.
It depends on the person. Some people read for fun because they enjoy stories or want to relax, while others read for work to learn something new or improve their skills.
Simple and accurate. But let's hear how the Band 9 answer approaches this.
It varies from person to person. Some individuals read purely for enjoyment or relaxation, delving into novels or poetry during their leisure time. Others read with a purpose. For instance, professionals might read industry-related materials or research papers to enhance their expertise.
Nice. What are your thoughts?
Wow, I like that one. It feels like it's really painting a picture of different types of readers.
It is. And notice those vocabulary choices again. Instead of just saying read for fun, it talks about delving into novels during leisure time. And instead of reading for work, it mentions professionals reading to enhance their expertise.
It's like those small changes in wording create a much more vivid and engaging response.
Precisely. And those are the kinds of details that examiners notice and reward with higher scores.
On to question 5. Do you think parents should help their children develop the reading habit from an early age? Let's hear the Band-Aid answer. Yes, I think parents should encourage kids to read because it helps them do better in school and improves their imagination. Parents can start by reading bedtime stories or buying interesting books for their children.
Good practical advice. Now for the Band 9 response.
Definitely. Developing a reading habit at an early age is crucial as it fosters language development, creativity, and critical thinking skills in children. Parents can play an active role by introducing engaging books suited to their child's age and making reading a fun activity through storytelling sessions.
What did you pick up on there?
See how the Band 9 answer goes beyond just saying it's good for them? It specifically mentions language development, creativity, and critical thinking skills.
Right, exactly. It provides a much more nuanced and well-supported answer.
And it also gives specific advice to parents, suggesting they introduce engaging books and make reading a fun activity. It's about providing those concrete examples that bring your ideas to life.
All right.
Okay, final question. Why are many people so keen on reading? Here's the Band-Aid answer. I think people like reading because it's a way to learn new things or escape from everyday life. Some people also find it relaxing or entertaining.
A solid summary of some common reasons. Let's see how the Band 9 answer wraps things up.
Many people are passionate about reading because it offers both knowledge and entertainment. It allows them to explore new ideas, cultures, or perspectives, while also providing an escape from reality through engaging stories or thought-provoking content.
What are your thoughts on that?
Ooh, I like how that answer ties everything together.
Me too. It highlights that multifaceted nature of reading, emphasizing both its intellectual and its escapist qualities. And again, uses stronger vocabulary and more complex sentence structure to deliver a truly impactful response.
Okay, wow. We just simulated a mini version of the IELTS speaking exam. It's amazing to hear those Band 8 and Band 9 answers side by side.
It really highlights those subtle but important differences that can impact your score, doesn't it?
Absolutely. But before we wrap up, let's break down those key differences and talk about what they mean for anyone who's preparing for this exam. So after listening to all those answers, what are like the biggest takeaways for someone who wants to achieve a Band 9 on the IELTS speaking exam?
Well, one thing that really stands out to me is the importance of vocabulary. You know, those Band 9 answers consistently used more precise and impactful words.
Yeah, it's not just about using big words.
No, not at all.
It's about choosing the right words,
Exactly. Choosing the right words to convey your meaning and demonstrate your range.
like using crucial instead of just important, or talking about how reading enhances knowledge rather than just saying it's good for you.
Exactly. And don't forget about those descriptive verbs and adjectives, too.
Or,
Like delving into novels, that creates a much more vivid image than just reading novels. It's those small touches that add depth and interest to your language.
but how can someone actually improve their vocabulary? Is it just about memorizing lists of words?
You know, that's actually a common misconception. While learning new words is important, it's more about actively using those words in your everyday life. Pay attention to the language used in books, articles, even podcasts like this one.
Right.
Think about how you can incorporate those words into your own speaking and writing.
So it's about developing an ear for language, being intentional about the words you choose.
Precisely. And don't be afraid to experiment. Try using a new word in a conversation or writing it down in a journal entry. The more you use it, the more natural it'll become.
Okay, so vocabulary is key.
Mm.
What else did you notice about those Band 9 answers?
Well, another important factor is grammar. Those high-scoring answers demonstrated a mastery of complex sentence structures.
Yeah.
They use things like relative clauses, conditional sentences, a variety of tenses, to create a more sophisticated and nuanced flow.
I remember you pointed out the relative clause in Sarah's answer about appreciating real-life experiences through biographies.
Mhm.
Is it really necessary to use those kinds of structures?
It's not just about using complex grammar for the sake of it.
Yeah.
It's about showing the examiner that you can handle the nuances of the English language. A well-placed relative clause can add detail and clarity to your sentence, while a conditional sentence can help you express a more complex thought.
So it's about using grammar as a tool to make your meaning clearer and your language more engaging.
Exactly. And remember, practice makes perfect. The more you experiment with different grammatical structures, the more confident you'll become in using them correctly.
Okay, so we've talked about vocabulary, we've talked about grammar.
Right.
What about the content of the answers themselves? Did you notice any differences there?
Absolutely. The Band 9 answers consistently went beyond those surface-level responses.
Yeah.
They provided thoughtful analysis, nuanced perspectives, and often supported their opinions with reasons and examples.
I remember in the question about whether everyone needs to read, the Band 9 answer specifically mentioned how reading promotes cognitive development in children. It wasn't just a general statement about reading being good. It was a more specific and insightful observation.
Exactly. Right. And that's what examiners are looking for. They want to see that you can think critically about the topic and engage with the questions on a deeper level.
So it's not just about stating your opinion. It's about explaining why you hold that opinion and providing evidence to support it.
Precisely. And don't be afraid to draw on your own experiences or knowledge to illustrate your points. Remember, the IELTS speaking exam is about showcasing your ability to communicate effectively in English. And that includes sharing your thoughts and ideas in a clear and engaging way.
So if we had to sum up the key ingredients for a Band 9 speaking score, what would you say they are?
I would say it comes down to three things: a strong vocabulary, a mastery of grammar, and the ability to express your ideas in a clear, thoughtful, and engaging way.
And how can someone who's, preparing for the IELTS develop those skills?
Well, as we talked about, it's important to be an active learner. Pay attention to the language you encounter in your daily life, practice using new vocabulary and grammar structures, and challenge yourself to think critically about the topics you're interested in.
So it's really about immersing yourself in the language and developing a genuine love for learning and communication.
Exactly. The more you enjoy using English, the more confident and fluent you'll become.
And that confidence will shine through on your IELTS speaking exam. Well, this deep dive has been incredibly insightful. Thank you so much for breaking down those band scores and sharing such practical advice.
My pleasure. And for all of you listening, remember that achieving a Band 9 is within your reach. It just takes dedication, practice, and a passion for language.
That's a great note to end on. So to all our listeners out there, keep learning, keep practicing, and keep exploring the fascinating world of language. We'll catch you on our next deep dive.